You're sitting across from someone you trust. They're looking right at you, and everything seems fine until they ask something that makes your stomach drop. It's not what they're saying, it's how they're saying it. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Manipulators don't argue with facts. They argue with your perception. They attack your ability to see what you're actually seeing. They question your judgment, your emotions, your memory. Everything except the one thing that matters most, the truth. And if you can learn to recognize exactly when they do this, exactly what they say and how they say it, you become almost immune to their games. Listen, we live in a world where people say things like, "If you really trusted me, you wouldn't ask me that." Or, "You're being too sensitive." Or my personal favorite, "I never said that, you're misremembering." These aren't random statements. They're weapons. And they work because they do something clever. They flip the conversation from what someone actually did to whether you're crazy for noticing it. That's the game. That's always the game. And today we're going to walk through 5 specific questions and statements that liars use to manipulate people. And I'm going to teach you to see them coming from a mile away. The first one is when awareness gets labeled as being too sensitive. This one is insidious because on the surface it sounds reasonable. Someone does something that bothers you. Maybe they make a comment that lands wrong, or they break a promise, or they forget something important. So you bring it up. You say, "Hey, that hurt me." And they respond with something like, "You're too sensitive," or "You take everything too personally," or "I was just joking, why are you being so dramatic?" Now here's what's actually happening. They're not engaging with your concern. They're reframing your emotional response as a character flaw. Your ability to feel, your capacity to be hurt, your very reasonable reaction to their behavior, they're turning that into a weakness. And the genius of this move is that it makes you second-guess yourself. You start thinking, maybe I am overreacting. You minimize what you felt. You apologize for being upset. And they never actually apologize for what they did. You came to them with a real concern, and you left questioning your own sanity. That's manipulation. The second one comes when trust is weaponized as emotional pressure. A manipulator will say things like, "If you really loved me, you wouldn't doubt me," or "A real friend wouldn't question my intentions," or the classic, "After everything I've done for you, how could you not trust me?" They're taking trust, which is supposed to be built on honesty and consistency, and turning it into a guilt trip. They're saying that your skepticism is a betrayal of the relationship. The message is clear. Either trust me blindly, or you don't care about our connection. And the problem is, most people have been taught that trust means never questioning, never verifying, never protecting themselves. So when someone puts it that way, people feel guilty for having basic boundaries. They feel like trusting someone means giving them a free pass to do whatever they want. But real trust isn't blind. Real trust is built on someone showing up consistently, being honest even when it's hard, and respecting your ability to observe reality. When someone uses trust as pressure, they're actually showing you that they don't deserve it. The third thing liars do is reframe observation as accusation. You notice something. Maybe someone's story doesn't add up. Maybe their behavior changed in a significant way. Maybe they were somewhere they said they wouldn't be. So you bring it up gently. "I noticed you didn't mention this," or "That doesn't match what you said last week." And suddenly you're the bad guy. They make you feel like you're accusing them of something terrible when all you did was observe. They say things like, "Why are you always suspicious of me?" Or, "You never trust anything I say." Or, "Why would you think I would do that?" They turn your simple observation into an attack on their character. And here's the trap. If you keep making observations, you start feeling like you're being mean. You feel like you're the suspicious, jealous, paranoid one. So you stop noticing. You stop questioning. You override your own perception because you don't want to be the person who accuses someone. But you weren't accusing anyone. You were just being aware. You were seeing what was right in front of you. The ability to notice patterns, to connect dots, to observe inconsistencies. That's wisdom. That's not an attack. The fourth thing is when guilt replaces transparency. A real conversation about a mistake goes something like this. Someone messes up. You talk about it. They explain what happened. You understand each other better, and the relationship moves forward. But a manipulator makes sure that before any conversation even starts, you feel so guilty for bringing it up that the actual issue never gets discussed. They'll say something like, "I can't believe you would bring this up now," or "Do you know how much stress I'm already under?" or "After the day I've had, I can't handle this." What they're doing is making the conversation itself, your need for clarity, your desire for honesty, seem selfish and cruel. You came to talk about an issue, and now you feel like you've hurt them just for asking. So you drop it. You apologize for bringing anything up, and nothing changes because nothing was ever addressed. The actual problem stays buried, and the next time something similar happens, you think twice before saying anything because you don't want to add to their burden. That's how manipulation creates a cycle where the same things keep happening, but nobody ever talks about them. The fifth pattern is using exhaustion as an escape hatch from truth. Someone asks them a direct question, something that matters, and instead of answering, they say, "I'm too tired to talk about this," or "Can we not do this right now? I'm exhausted," or "I don't have the energy to explain myself." Now, sometimes people genuinely are tired, that's real. But manipulators use this as a tactic because they know that if they can delay the conversation long enough, you'll eventually get tired of asking. You'll feel bad for pushing them. You'll convince yourself that the issue wasn't that important anyway. And because they never actually engage with the question, you never get an answer. Their exhaustion becomes a shield. It becomes a way to avoid accountability indefinitely. A year later, you still don't know the truth about something that matters, and you can't even articulate why, because the conversation was never actually had. The exhaustion tactic is brilliant because most people don't want to push someone who says they're depleted. We're taught to be kind. But here's what happens. Their exhaustion becomes more important than your need for honesty. Now, once you see these patterns, you might feel angry. You might feel like you want to confront the person, to make them see what they're doing, to prove to them that they're manipulative. But here's where Stoic wisdom becomes absolutely crucial. The Stoics understood something that modern psychology is only now catching up to. You cannot change another person by forcing them to see the truth. You cannot shame someone into honesty. You cannot make someone care about your feelings by proving they're wrong. What happens when you try is that you end up exhausted and they end up defensive and nothing changes. The Stoics knew that your power doesn't come from changing them. Your power comes from changing how you respond to them. So there's an important distinction here. Seeing these patterns isn't about blame. It's not about judging someone's character or concluding they're a bad person. Some people manipulate because they learned to do it early, because nobody ever taught them another way, because they're scared, or because they're emotionally stuck at the age when they decided the only way to survive was to control how others see them. Understanding that doesn't mean you excuse their behavior. It means you understand that their brokenness is not your responsibility to fix. Your responsibility is to yourself. Your responsibility is to your own integrity, your own clarity, your own peace. And that's where the Stoic rebirth comes in. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that cuts right through all of this. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The strength is in returning to your center. It's in remembering that you can see clearly. Your perceptions aren't crazy. Your feelings aren't wrong. Your need for honesty isn't selfish. When someone tries to convince you otherwise, you don't need to fight them or convince them back. You just need to remember that you trust yourself. That's the return to your center. That's the rebirth. It's the moment when you stop seeking permission from a manipulator to believe what you already know to be true. So here's the final reflection, and this matters because this is where the real power lives. Clarity is a choice. Every time someone tries to fog up what you see, you can choose to see clearly anyway. Every time someone tries to make you feel guilty for having boundaries, you can choose to believe that your boundaries are wise. Every time someone makes you feel selfish for needing truth, you can choose to know that truth-seeking is a form of self-respect. Clarity isn't about proving someone wrong. Clarity is about knowing yourself well enough that you don't need someone else to validate what you already see. That's the real Stoic wisdom. That's the real power. And that's available to you right now, in this moment, no matter what situation you're in. If this resonates with you, if you've recognized one of these patterns in your own life, please comment below and tell me which one hit home for you. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because I guarantee you know at least one person who's trapped in a situation where they've stopped trusting their own perception. Share it with them. And if you want more videos like this on Stoicism, on recognizing manipulation, on building unshakable clarity, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. You deserve to see clearly. You deserve to trust yourself. And when you do, everything changes.